I have to tell you, John, that from time to time, some of the doctors and nurses come out here. They just got to get a look at this because many of the windows here in the hospital, of course, are boarded up. So they want to see what's happening as what we believe is pretty much the bad part of the storm comes through here. They actually have 900 people in the hospital, John, believe it or not. There's 80 young patients, and we just lost our light and the power. I'll toss it back to you, John.
All right. Susan Rosen for us this morning outside Children's Hospital there in New Orleans. And obviously, even though the brunt of the storm is being felt right there along the Gulf Coast, Grand Isle, where our Ali Velshi is, still some effects inland there in New Orleans as the power starts to go out in the French Quarter and right there where Susan is as well. Kieran?
And CNN, a reminder, is your hurricane headquarters. Our correspondents covering this storm across the Gulf Coast region and beyond. We have Ali Velshi on Grand Isle, which is basically surrounded by the Gulf of Mexico, one of those barrier islands out there in the Gulf. Anderson Cooper live in the French Quarter of New Orleans. He lost power about an hour ago there. Same with Rob Marciano atop the roof of the Omni Hotel in downtown New Orleans. And Reynolds Wolf tracking Gustav's location from the CNN Weather Center. We start with Ali live on Grand Isle. We have a chance to get a better sense of where you are now that the sun has come up and we see the waters behind you. What's the latest?
Karen, I don't know if you're talking to me right now because this has just kicked up a great deal, and we're trying to I can't hear you clearly. This surf has picked up. Last time I reported to you, I told you there was no ground visible around here. In fact, any green sea is the tops of trees. We're looking at a 4.5 to 5 foot flooding area on this island. You can see those houses. Those are raised about 20 feet off the ground. We've got a van here that was pulled over. That's now, a third of the way into the ground with the mobile home. We're trying to keep the stuff closed. It's blowing around quite a bit. Grand Island it had to the north, it had Barataria Bay. Behind me to the south is the Gulf of Mexico. We are probably...
All right, we just saw Ali frozen in time for a moment. He is reporting in some unbelievably strong winds and rain right now. We'll try to get him back in a couple of minutes. The conditions in Ali's location are too rough to park a satellite truck, so we're using really a cool piece of technology to bring you his live reports. It's called a BGAN. It's about the size of a laptop computer and creates an internet connection by linking up with a satellite that enables our field crews to hook their cameras and mics up to a computer and go live just about anywhere in the world. Again, of course, that is also subject to technical glitches, especially when you're staring into the eye wall of a hurricane. So we're going to check in with Ali Velshi again throughout the show, but we just got knocked off from his location. John?
You know, I'm actually pretty surprised, Karen, that the signal lasted as long as it did. And if there is that much water around where Ali is, any vehicle on the ground, obviously a satellite truck, would be in serious trouble. And I'm wondering this morning just exactly what Ali Velshi is going to say to the rental car company later on today. As many as 100,000 people have decided to ride out the storm along the Gulf Coast, up to 10,000 of them in New Orleans. At about 2:30 in the morning, New Orleans time, we caught up with one guy who decided to ride it out with a little more than a pitcher of beer and a pool cue at a place called the Cajun Pub.
Man, this is where I live. This is what I love. If I gotta go somewhere else to be alive, I'd rather not be alive.
That bar had a foot of water in it after Katrina hit, by the way. Let's turn now to our Anderson Cooper. He's live in the French Quarter this morning, which did not see a lot of flooding during Hurricane Katrina. It was areas to the east and to the north that did. But, Anderson, you lost power a short time ago, and the real concern is that if you were to lose power to those pumping stations that keep Lake Pontchartrain and the Mississippi River out, that you could be in some serious trouble if there were to be some overtopping of those levees.
That's right. That's what happened before. You know, as you know, John, they have built gates now. The idea of those gates in the canals is basically to stop any storm surge coming the opposite way through the canal and flooding New Orleans, as happened before when 80% of the city was flooded. So they built these gates that if there is a storm surge coming, they can close down the gates. The problem is if they lose power, they're not able to pump the water that is in New Orleans from the rain and other things from actually getting out of the city. So losing power is a big problem. They do have generators, though, and even in the French Quarter, some of the hotels which have remained open, mostly for reporters and police. A lot of police are staging in various hotels. they have their own generators. But we have seen a power outage in this area in the French Quarter. I'm not sure about other parts of New Orleans. We simply don't know. It was interesting hearing from that guy at a bar. The one bar and restaurant that we know of that was open, and they claim they're going to try to stay open as long as they can. It's called the Oceanic Grill. We actually stopped in there last night around 11 o'clock in between some of our live shots just to try to get some hot food because there's no place else around. It was filled with reporters. I saw Katie Carrick, Shepard Smith was over there, a lot of CNN crews, and also a lot of police officers. So it's sort of the last place open in the quarter. And well, I don't know if they're open for breakfast or not, but I doubt it. But it's interesting. Right now we are in kind of a lull. There's very little rain at this point, a little bit of wind. It must be one of those bands of the storm. We're seeing the storm kind of breaking up a little bit as it's moving closer to shore. But it's very strange. And as someone who's been through hurricanes, both as a reporter and also just kind of hunkered down inside homes, it can be very disconcerting when you're inside and all of a sudden, you know, it seems like nothing is really happening. And this is one of those times people are prone to come out and kind of look around. It is best that people stay inside at this point. This is probably just a very temporary lull. It'll be interesting to see the storm tracks that you guys are showing. But at this point in the French Quarter, it's kind of surreal because it really doesn't seem that bad right now.
And you know, Anderson, sometimes it doesn't tell the whole story to look at the picture, and you know, we only get like a small little shot of it. I remember in 2005 I came out from the parking garage at the Hilton Hotel as the winds began to die down and said to myself, well, this doesn't look so bad. Then we heard a report of a levee breach, and we went over there into the lower 7th Ward. All hell was breaking loose. So what we see now doesn't necessarily say what we're going to see later, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it's you know, we're all in different locations. We try to have people in as many different locations as possible. If you just looked at Ali Velsh's live shot in Grand Isle, it is a completely different story down there. He's really bearing the brunt of this thing. So again, we're trying to cover this as well as we can from where we are. It's a little difficult at the height of a storm to be driving around. We're basically in this location. As soon as we get the sense that the worst has passed and it's safe enough, well, we'll start driving around trying to see, especially those levees on the West Bank. As you know, John, from when you were reporting down here before, I mean, those are the levees that are really untested. Those are the levees that people are concerned about because that is where this storm is coming from. And if there's flooding that's going to occur, it is most likely going to occur from there because those levees really have not been fixed up, repaired. You know, there were a lot of promises about rebuilding levees bigger, better, and stronger. A lot of work has been done on the levees, but not on those levees. And even the levees that work has been done on, they're not supposed to be completed until 2011, and that is a very long way off. And as you can tell now, the rain is starting to increase again. The wind is starting to increase. So again, we're now in one of those bands, one of those outer bands of rain, very different from what it was just 2 minutes ago when I was talking, John.
Yeah, it looks like your lull is pretty much over. Anderson, thanks very much. Stay safe. We'll check back with you. Karen?
All right, now we turn to Rob Marciano. He's live from the rooftop of the Omni Hotel in the New Orleans French Quarter this morning. And it is amazing, just Anderson's not too far away from your location. You look like you're getting far more winds.
Well, we're up higher, and that's the key. You know, when we talk about hurricane force winds, and we give these numbers, Category 1, Category 2, Category 3. Those are winds that are pretty much at the height of the storm, over water where there's much less friction. So whenever you get down into the ground around buildings or near trees, that slows down the wind dramatically. We're up above, for the most part, at the top of the French Quarter, about 6 stories high on this rooftop. To my left is the quarter, pretty much completely dark because power has gone out in that general direction, and now the winds, after a brief lull, have picked up once again. The winds have shifted just a little bit. A little trick we do in the field, if you turn your back to the wind, which is this way, the storm is going to be due to your due left. And it has shifted a little bit, and the storm now seems to be a little bit more due south than just south and southeast. So give you a little advantage point here. Here's downtown. You go west of us, cross Canal Street. There are still lights that seem to be on in parts of downtown. And then towards the Mississippi, Jim, I don't know if you can get all the way over here. Now things are really picking up. About a quarter mile, less than a quarter mile down there is the Mississippi River, and you can actually see white caps on the Mississippi going against the current. So that is certainly something that officials have been worried about, and you better believe it, that downstream where the Mississippi River dumps into the Gulf of Mexico and things begin to fan out in that delta, that surge and those whitecaps and waves are pouring up against that current, and that's where you see the most storm surge. Will we get a surge that will breach the levee here right around the French Quarter? That's unlikely. I mean, it would take a superstorm to do that right at the right angle. And the good news with Gustav is that although it's coming in at the right angle to see that sort of surge, it's a Category 3. It's not a 4 or 5, which would be huge. And also, it's going to head just enough west so that we don't see a damaging surge here. But south and west, towards the Harvey Canal, the West Bank, where those canals were not touched by Katrina, they weren't really built up that much either. So there's still some worry as to what kind of surge will come up those canals, which have been manipulated by man. You know, the swamps of southern Louisiana act as a buffer for these storms and their storm surge, fanning out and buffering that Gulf of Mexico water. But since we've built these channels and canals and shipping channels and pretty much rerouted the Mississippi, that natural buffer is no longer there. So it will be interesting to see what happens down around where Alley is, down around Vermilion Bay and south central Louisiana as this storm comes to shore. But certainly another strong rain band coming in right now, Kieran. We have recorded winds over 50 miles an hour, and right now it's certainly gusting at least 40, and power out in the French Quarter. Power seemingly still on in spots of downtown. Back to you.
Rob, can you still hear me?
I got you.
When are you going to have a better sense of whether or not they dodged a bullet, whether you're out of it?
I think we have to wait until this thing makes landfall. And even then, because we're on the right side of the storm, we will continue to have onshore winds right through landfall. So that will, one, still create a surge until the eye passes well inland, and that might not be until later on this afternoon and tonight. And two, oftentimes, not only the right front quadrant, which is what we're in right now, but the rear quadrant as well, on the back of the storm, that can also be very, very damaging as far as winds go. So I wouldn't say out of the woods completely until, well, at least afternoon as far as storm surge goes. And then how much wind damage comes with this storm, we won't know that for sure until later on tonight. And I think with us being this close to the center and winds extending 70 miles out, hurricane-force winds extending 70 miles out to the north and east, which is where we are, we're going to see significant damage in the New Orleans area, especially in the western part of town. Kieran.
Rob Marciano for us on the roof there in the, wiping off the lens. You know, we needed to do it because the rain and wind certainly hitting the cameras and the crew as well. Rob, thanks.
You know, difficult to know, Kieran, even after the storm passes immediately, whether or not you've dodged a bullet. It looked that way after Hurricane Katrina, and then we got the bad news afterwards. And Reynolds Wolf there at the hurricane headquarters in Atlanta. And Reynolds, we're wondering, could this be a repeat of Hurricane Katrina, or might this be like Hurricane George in the late 1990s, which passed very close by New Orleans, created a lot of wind and a lot of rain, but didn't do any significant damage?
Absolutely. You know, you could even throw Rita into the mix, too. I mean, Rita came relatively close, but ended up right along parts of the Louisiana and Texas border. With this one, John, we're going to go back in time very quickly with Google Earth. What we're going to do is show you the present track that we have for Gustav. The forecast track brings it right near Allie's location, Allie Velsh's location, and then into parts of Louisiana. You look at Rita back in 2005, going right to parts of the Louisiana and Texas border, but then you compare that, of course, with, as you mentioned, John, the Katrina track, which actually came just to the east of New Orleans, which means that New Orleans actually was affected by the weakest part of the storm. And, of course, we know all the damage that ensued afterwards. In this situation, we're actually having the strongest point of that storm that will be affecting parts of New Orleans with Gustav. So Gustav out of Ulm could actually be the worst. Right now, some of the strongest winds we're seeing have been moving through places like, say, Grand Isle, Allie's location. Right now, they're getting a little bit of a break in terms of the precipitation. But this island, ladies and gentlemen, is completely covered in water at this time. You happen to be from the Midwest, maybe you're from the Northern Plains, you happen to see those homes on the Gulf that are up on those stilts. There's a reason why they're up there. It's because when you have weather like this, that storm surge rushes in, you're going to have those issues. Meanwhile, we go back towards back towards New Orleans, where let's see, Anderson was there moments ago. Rob was on top of the Omni Hotel. The rain really beginning to pick up. The wind too. Anderson, when he first started his shot, didn't have a whole lot of activity. Now the wind is beginning to come through. So too is the rain. It's going to be something they'll be dealing with well into the afternoon and evening. Back to you, John.
All right, Reynolds, thanks very much. Of course, the closer to the storm center you get, the higher the winds become. We saw what was going on with Ali Velshi there in Grand Isle. Our Sean Caleb's is about 8 miles closer to the storm than Rob Marciano is. He's in Harahan in Louisiana, just about 8 to 10 miles west of the downtown New Orleans area. And, Sean, things look like they're getting going pretty good there.
Yeah, things are definitely picked up within the last half hour. We'll be back in just a minute to tell you why an area that wasn't punished by Katrina is very vulnerable right now.
In today's economy, your most important business assets walk out the door every night. Our job is to help make sure they come back every morning. Addressing employees' needs is just part of it. We also tackle some of the toughest economic and strategic challenges facing your business. Rising healthcare costs, finding and retaining the best people to help your business achieve and sustain success. Human resource professionals meeting the challenges of a changing world.
One of the biggest challenges for geoscientists is trying to find the oil and gas that's hidden below the surface of the Earth. Lately, our researchers have developed a new technology called R3M. You can't see it and you can't feel it, but the Earth has electromagnetic waves. And if you build the right kinds of listening devices, you can make sense of those waves. So using those tools, we can supply more of the energy that we need with less of an impact on the environment.
My dad brought the family to America because he thought he'll be able to provide a better lifestyle and to achieve this American dream. My mother was diagnosed with brain cancer, and we had insurance, but yet not everything was covered. Basically, we weren't able to keep up with the bills, and eventually he had to file bankruptcy. Having insurance, he thought it would cover everything and take care of him, but apparently it doesn't.
Don't let diarrhea keep you occupied. Introducing Imodium Multi-Symptom Relief. It combines 2 powerful medicines to work fast for relief of all these symptoms, so you can get occupied with swimming. Imodium. Get back out there. Don't let diarrhea keep you occupied. Introducing Imodium Multi-Symptom Relief. It combines 2 powerful medicines to work fast for relief of all these symptoms, so you can get occupied with giggling. Imodium. Get back out there.
17 minutes after the hour, and there you go, some pictures from Grand Isle, Louisiana, right there along the Gulf Coast. I mean, you don't get any closer to ground zero than you do with that picture right there. Our Ali Velshi is on Grand Isle this morning, and Ali, you're starting to really feel the effects of that storm, not just from the storm surge that's been blown in by the winds, but also structures are starting to come apart.
Yeah, you just missed it by a minute. The garage just flew off the building that we're on. I mean, I don't think the garage was the part that was meant to stick around. When we say we're in a secure house, the garage was just a flyaway roof, but it's gone. That camera shot that you're looking at right now is unstaffed. We pulled everybody inside right now because these gusts are remarkable. A few of us have sort of been pulled away by them. As Reynolds said, we do seem to see a little bit less precipitation and a lot more wind. It's very, very heavy. The storm, the level of the water seems to be steady at about 5 feet, so we don't seem to be getting a lot more right now. That's the good news. Hopefully this is as much water as we're going to see, but it is blowing hard out there. We're expecting to see a little more damage as soon as it clears up. I don't know if you can see those winds, but they are really blowing, John.
Oh, yeah, they're starting to. Ali, is it possible to move that camera around a little bit to give us a picture of the roof, at least the part of the roof that blew off there?
We're going to move that a little bit and just show you where the roof was. I'm gonna just go out there with her. Stand by for a second.
All right, be careful there.
All right, so I am. You can see me now in front of the camera. We're gonna put the camera in the water right there. I'm gonna push into it now. Let's go back a little bit. Let's get him a little more closely.
Obviously, we're having a difficult time hearing Allie because he's out there in what looked to be at least 80-mile-an-hour winds, and the microphone just can't handle that sort of torture. But that was the part of the roof there that was in the water that got blown off just a little while ago. Allie said the structure that he's in actually has straps that are tying down the roof, and it's a very well-built structure. There's no question about it. But when you get in winds and you get in storm surge like that, the potential to just suddenly have something catastrophic happens goes up exponentially. Allie, standing out there in a wind, it looks to me like it's about 80 miles an hour where you are. What's it feel like? Hey, Allie, I'm sorry. If you can hear me, Allie, walk back inside just a little bit because we can't hear a thing you're saying. There's just too much wind noise. Can you walk back in a couple of feet or so and describe the situation?
I've gotten a little bit out of the wind. You know, the only reason we came back out here is because our contractor who's staying with us has roped us off. We want to really stay out of this. These winds are strong enough to make those of us who are good-sized people worry about being blown away. So that's what it feels like. If that's 80 miles or plus, I'll take your word for it.
All right, Allie Velshi for us on Grand Island. And Allie, I can tell by seeing the amount of wind that's blowing there that, you know, this situation actually in that area could have been far, far worse. And I'll tell you, you're actually fairly lucky that things don't seem to be as bad there as they could have been, but obviously still a very, very, very dangerous situation. You're watching continuing coverage of Hurricane Gustav coming ashore live from the bullseye of the storm on Grand Isle and your hurricane headquarters, CNN. Stay with us.
CNN Tonight at 10. Gustav's coming. AC 360's live in New Orleans with the latest information on the storm's path. CNN Tonight.
And lost 83 pounds on Nutrisystem.
I did the math and I lost 3 sizes. Look at me. I got great nutrition every day. I lost weight. And it was less than $3 a meal.
Start Nutrisystem today. It's the last month to get our special lock-in offer. Get a month's worth of breakfast, lunches, dinners, and desserts for less than $3 a meal.
Less than $3 a meal? You can't beat that.
Great nutrition and you lose weight.
Tired of your grocery prices going up and up? Lock in your price guaranteed for all of 2008. This incredible limited time offer ends this month, so call now.
I did the math and I lost 100 pounds.
You don't have to pay a lot to lose a lot.
Get a month's worth of breakfast, lunches, dinners, and desserts for less than $3 a meal.
Nutrisystem is a great value.
That's right. This special limited time offer ends this month. Act now and lock in your price for the rest of 2008. So call now.
Nutrisystem, now that's real value.
Lou Dobbs Independent Convention, a CNN special event all next week, 7 Eastern.
When it comes to luxury SUV commercials, you'd expect an off-road demonstration in a place you'll never go. You might expect a cliched metaphor for precision handling and another for its powerful yet fuel-efficient V8 engine. Yes, you'd expect a lot from a luxury SUV commercial, but what you wouldn't expect is this. Introducing the Kia Borrego, a new kind of luxury SUV.
My good friend Boone Pickens and I agree about compressed natural gas. CNG is the best fuel to reduce America's addiction to foreign oil. CNG costs about 40% less than gasoline. Just think how that could help every family and business in our country. Help that includes reducing food prices. Not only does natural gas cost much less than gasoline, it's up to 90% cleaner. Natural gas is also abundant. American shale basins contain an ocean of natural gas, ready to fuel our country for the 21st century. And natural gas is American, which keeps our dollars at home instead of spending billions of dollars on foreign oil. Transportation is fundamental to the American way of life, and cutting our fuel costs by 40% is the answer I believe we urgently need. I'm Aubrey McClendon, and my promise is this. Natural gas is clean, abundant, affordable, and American. 4 reasons we need CNG now.
Long walks outside? Yes. Age spots? No thanks. Luckily, there's L'Oreal's new Age Perfect Radiance Perfector.
An all-in-one moisturizer with pure vitamin C that treats age spots.
Plus a sheer tint for instantly radiant skin.
New Age Perfect Radiance Perfector by L'Oreal.
Can't anything help these itchy allergy eyes?
Get fast relief with Visine A. Why just rely on allergy pills? Visine A goes right where you need it, relieving itching and redness in minutes. Visine A, fast relief for itchy allergy eyes.
Weather update brought to you by Visine A. Get fast, powerful relief for itchy red allergy eyes with Visine A drops. Use as directed.
Live look now at the French Quarter, New Orleans, Louisiana, local time 7:24 in the morning, and there are some big concerns about flooding on New Orleans' West Bank. That's where our Sean Calebs is live in Harahan, Louisiana. And Sean, right now, how concerned are they that that the banks could overtop and that we could be looking at flooding?
I think people are extremely concerned about what's going on right now. If you look, the winds have really picked up within the last hour. The rain is just pouring down here. And what we're talking about here, Jefferson Parish, the West Bank, is an area that wasn't punished by Hurricane Katrina. This is an area that didn't have the catastrophic flooding. But the big concern, an area just to the south of New Orleans proper, south of the Mississippi River, called the West Bank. Those levees there, earthen levees in many places, levees that have been worked on by the Army Corps of Engineers, and this wind, this rain, I mean, you can see what it's doing right now. I think people are very concerned that where alley is, the water could push up from there, basically swamp these levees and flood that area. And what would it do to the psyche of this city if that happened? It would be horrific. I've lived here for the last 3 years, and I got to tell you, Kieran, all I can think about while I watch this wind and this water whip are all the people we've interviewed all those times who have spent so much emotionally and financially trying to make something of their lives again, trying to make something of the city, and knowing that this storm coming through right now could simply devastate all of that. So this is a very, very serious day for New Orleans. It's going to be, it wouldn't be too much to say it's going to be historic by the end of the day to see, is this city going to get through it? Can it survive the damage from this hurricane?
Yeah, and Sean, what are the local officials telling you, if anything, about what the preparation is, what you should do if you're there now?
Well, if you're here now, you stayed too long. That's the bottom line. Mandatory evacuation. We know that close to 2 million people got out of the city in a very orderly fashion over the last 48 hours. City officials think there may be as many as 10,000 people still left in this city. But right now, if you chose to ride this out and you need help and you called the Emergency Operations Center here in Jeff Parish where we are, they would not come out to help you. I mean, that was spelled out very clearly. They will not risk lives or injury to go out when the winds reach tropical storm strength. So if anybody did choose to ride this out and they're having second thoughts now, just got to cowboy up because it's going to be a very, very long day.
Sure is. All right, Sean Calebs for us there in the west of the French Quarter, west of the downtown, getting blown around as we've just seen. Thanks a lot, Sean. John.
And he looks like he's getting almost as much wind as Ali Velshi is right down there along the Gulf Coast. So coming up on 28 minutes after the hour, our next guest is keeping a very close eye on Gustav. James Carville just evacuated his family from the storm zone. CNN political contributor James Carville joins us now from Washington. James, you had just moved back down to New Orleans. You still continue to have a home up there in the Washington area as well. What are you thinking about as you watch these pictures this morning?
Well, I think that the city of New Orleans, I'm optimistic. I think we'll be fine. I think the levees will be built and they'll hold. And it goes to show you what happens when you have the proper kind of public investment. I'm very worried about the West Bank, and I hope people in the country understand that whatever happens is going to be in large part because we've allowed, our nation has allowed the coastline of Louisiana to deteriorate to the point where we don't have the buffer that we used to have. This storm, when I would have been in college, would have been a bad storm, but would have not had nearly the consequences that we're going to face here. So it's a kind of teaching moment for the country. But I'm optimistic, and I give the authorities and the President and the Congress and everybody some credit here if these levees hold, because I think our flood protection has been built back up in New Orleans. So I have optimism that we're going to be fine. The city of New Orleans, I'm very worried about all of my friends who live west of the Mississippi River and south. Terrebonne, St. Mary, Lafourche, parts of St. Charles and Jefferson, I'm worried about.
Yeah, and as you say, James, a lot of controversy over the state of the coast, and because they've rained in the Mississippi River there, the Mississippi Delta doesn't get replenished with silt the way it used to, and so that whole area is sinking. In terms of the federal response,
John,
though.
yeah, right. That's the biggest ongoing environmental disaster in the country. You're right, so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I think they're losing, what, a football field a second there of territory along the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, a football field every 50 minutes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, are you more satisfied with the federal response this time around? I am.
And the local response, I think that the city's done better, the state's done better, and I think the federal government has done better. And you know, it is. I choose to live there. It's the greatest place to live in the United States. Storms are a way of life we grew up with. I mean, if we have the proper flood protection and we build these wetlands back, and we have the right emergency response, which it looks like we're getting better, come on down. We're going to be fine.
Right. You know, James, if I could turn just to a little bit of politics here, because we are here in St. Paul at the Republican National Convention, where the schedule has been truncated, only essential business being done today. They want to show respect to those folks along the Gulf Coast who may be so heavily impacted by this storm. But at some point, this is going to get going again, and of course, big focus is going to be the acceptance speech by John McCain to become the nominee of the Republican Party, and for the very first time in history, a woman will accept the mantle of the vice presidential running mate. What are you thinking of the pick of Sarah Palin, James? And I ask you this question when we take a look in the context of a CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll, which shows that 75% of registered voters believe that McCain chose Palin to help win the election.
Well, I mean, what I think about, I don't think very much of this pick. And whether or not she picked to help win the election, certainly that was true when John F. Kennedy picked Lyndon Johnson, when Ronald Reagan picked George H.W. Bush. So she picked somebody to help win the election that is not really qualified to be president. I mean, this is a picture of the City Hall where she was mayor like 3 years ago. It looks a little bit like a bait shop to me. And I think that the country, as they get to know more about this, they're going to find this to be a very curious pick, if you will. I like Senator McCain personally. This is kind of, I'm befuddled by this pick, frankly.
Right. Well, you know, there are some people who say that she actually has more executive experience than either Senator Obama, Senator Biden, or Senator McCain, because none of them have ever really run anything. Is there a case to be made for that?
This is the executive experience as mayor of this town, all right? And look, you could say that John F. Kennedy had no executive experience. You could say that Abraham Lincoln had no executive experience. I mean, I don't know what that means. She clearly comes into this as somebody who, you know, both newspapers in the state question this. If you look at her own mother-in-law, I mean, the Republican Party, to me, has always stood for sort of stability and people that were really had a kind of orderly process for picking people. This, to me, is a kind of a very different kind of pick, a very strange pick. I don't know.
All right. Well, James, thanks very much for your analysis on the political front, and our best to you and your family. I hope that you come through this hurricane all right. Appreciate you being with us this morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
More continuing coverage of Hurricane Gustav on your hurricane headquarters, CNN, just ahead. Stay with us.
Create, share, and experience in 3D. Dassault Systems. See what you mean.
You wanted it to work out here. You wanted it to work right now. You wanted free weekends and free hands. You wanted it to do more and cost less. You wanted your email, text messages, GPS, and MP3s. Your favorite websites, your favorite colors. And tomorrow, you'll want even more. Okay.
Thanks to everyday Americans who chose to make a difference.
Millions of lives have been saved in the world's poorest countries.
41 million more children have been able to go to school.
3 million more people living with AIDS
have access to life-saving medication.
3 million fewer children die each year from preventable diseases.
But there's still more to do.
In this election year,
please join the millions of Americans from every party.
Democrats, Republicans, Independents.
Who are coming together as one.
We welcome your voice.
I love field trips.
I love surprises.
I love that my Subaru is built in a zero landfill plant.
I love getting more car than I paid for.
It's never been easier to fall in love. The Subaru A Lot to Love event. Get a great deal on all models through September 2nd. All-wheel drive. Top crash test ratings. Come see all there is to love.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Now get a 2008 Outback with $1,500 cash back plus 0% APR financing.
Oh, it must be careful. Well, that's a nice picture.
Come on, Anna.
Okay.
Foreclosure doesn't affect just you. It affects your whole family, too. If you've fallen behind on your mortgage, we can help. Call 1-888-995-HOPE, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
The latest update right now on Hurricane Gustav as you take a look at the French Quarter in New Orleans. That's the back of a police vehicle right now. Pretty much police, authorities, news crews, and a few stragglers, all that's left of New Orleans. Really a ghost town right now as most people, in fact 1.9 million in Louisiana alone, heeding the warnings to get out ahead of this monster storm, a Category 3. We have correspondents fanned out throughout the region. CNN's Chris Lawrence is with the New Orleans Police Department, riding with them this morning as they get the curfew enforced right now. Have they had to do a lot of enforcing, or did most people heed the warning ahead of time, Chris?
Most people heeded the warning, Karen, but yeah, I got to tell you, they have been using their discretion. We heard some talk beforehand from some officials that they would be treating everyone as a criminal. Anyone who was out after curfew would be arrested on site. We haven't found that to be the case. We found them to be using a little bit of common sense. There were some people last night who were getting out very late after the curfew. It was already dark, but they were clearly packing up their cars to go. And the police saw that, asked them if they needed any help, and let them go on their way. Right now, the police are a lot smarter than us, again, showing a little bit more of that common sense. They're already hunkered down. Once the winds kicked up to a certain point, they and the National Guard basically hunkered down for the night. So at this point, they are not doing any patrols. They are not going out at all to help anyone. But as soon as the storm passes, they're in prime position to get back out in these neighborhoods. Karen?
All right, Chris Lawrence for us. Thank you. Let's head back over to John.
Yeah, Karen, and, you know, looking at the pictures there, we're getting sort of a profile of how these hurricanes affect various areas. A live picture there of the French Quarter in New Orleans, where Anderson Cooper has been reporting all morning, and things seem fairly calm there. You see a few leaves blowing around in the trees, and obviously a lot of rain coming down. Then you move just 8 miles to the west, a little bit more open area where Sean Caleb's is, and it looks like they're getting very close to hurricane force winds. And then, of course, there's Ali Velshi, who's down on Grand Isle, which is just that narrow little strip of land, and there's a picture of it. That is right along the Gulf Coast. It's about 50 miles. It's about 50 miles south of New Orleans, and it's literally underwater there. It's the reason why they build those homes on stilts. Ali, the structure that he's in, very strongly built structure. It has those hurricane straps holding down the roof, so he's probably fairly safe where he is right now, looking at the amount of wind that's blowing there. But some of the other nearby structures, like the garage to this house, lost their roof. So obviously a very, very dangerous hurricane still, as Gustav now, the center of circulation of that storm, just about to come on shore. Stay with us here on CNN. It's your hurricane headquarters. We've got reporters all across the Gulf Coast, including in the heart of the storm right there in Grand Isle. We'll be right back after this.
Every
American is an independent thinker. No matter your party, no matter your candidate. Get the facts from the only news channel to give you all sides.
It's a sprint now. We're going to be watching every single step of the way.
No spin, no affiliation, no agenda. Get the facts. Demand the truth. We do. You do too. It's the most important story this year. Declare your independence. Only CNN equals politics.
We've come to this island, and you'll never believe what we found. The internet. Seems it can't hide here either. Simply insert the AT&T Laptop Connect card. You're connected at up to 3G speeds. Email business proposals. Access your customer database. All on the go. I'm Bill Curtis, and I've just found the internet.
The internet can't hide anymore. Switch to the network with the best coverage and get the AT&T Laptop Connect card for free.
As history happened, more Americans watch CNN than any other broadcast or cable network. CNN equals politics.
Welcome to Progressive.com. Ah, I see you have a list.
So I only pay for the features that I need.
So let's customize your policy.
It's me.
Now just add or subtract what you need.
I want lots of coverage, a little less, a low deductible, and roadside assistance. That was easy.
Your satisfaction is our policy. It's a little insurance joke. Really little. There it goes.
Getting the policy and the price you want. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
For great college football from across the country, you need ESPN Game Plan from DirecTV. With key matchups and rivalries from major conferences, ESPN Game Plan has up to 12 games every Saturday from outside your local area. Order now for the special early bird offer, and you'll be all set for a full season of college football with ESPN Game Plan from DirecTV. Order now for only 2 payments of $54.50 each. Call 1-800-GET-SPORTS or go to directv.com/gameplan.
The Republican National Convention, all this week on CNN.
And a shot this morning of the French Quarter in New Orleans, where the rain continues to come down. And we've got correspondents across the Gulf Coast from the very, very southern tip of Louisiana, Grand Isle, all the way into the French Quarter in New Orleans, where our Anderson Cooper is. And Anderson, you know, these hurricane force winds extend up to 70 miles outwards from the center of circulation. What are you feeling there in the French Quarter this morning?
The winds are definitely picking up here, as is the rain. I mean, I think the last time I talked to you, we were almost in kind of a big lull. There really wasn't any rain at all. Now it is coming down in sheets. It's still not coming down completely horizontally, which is a sign of really being in the most intense part of the storm, which we have seen in other storms. But the rain here is getting pretty severe. We're seeing fewer police on patrol, so clearly they are kind of hunkered down, waiting out for this. We've seen a couple of tiles coming off of buildings, but you know, these buildings in the French Quarter have been around for a long time. They have weathered a lot of storms, so it's a pretty safe area to be in, and it's not an area that traditionally floods. But we're getting a lot of wind just kind of whipping down these streets. Thankfully, most of the people here, as we've been talking about all morning, have evacuated. Those who have remained, there's about 10,000, at most about 10,000, it's believed, according to state and local officials, inside the city of New Orleans, as many as 90 to 100,000 who have still remained behind in the coastal areas of southeastern Louisiana. They have been told that they are pretty much on their own, especially for the next couple of hours, if there's any medical emergency or any needs. I keep looking around because I do hear some banging. You'd always want to make sure that there's not any kind of loose debris that's going to maybe become airborne, become a projectile. I think that's just a storm shutter banging, though. So most people are just kind of hunkered down, waiting for this thing to move past them. We anticipate the worst of it. I think, Johnny, you know better than I, because I don't have access to the same kind of storm tracking that you have right now, because the power is out at the French Quarter. But we've been told for the next 2 or 3 hours this thing should start to get the worst of it. And then after that, let's hope the worst is past. But we're going to try to stay on the air as long as we can, John, from this location. It's a pretty safe location, and we can always flee to indoors if we need to, just about half a block away, John.
All right, Anderson, thanks very much. And yeah, looking at the latest satellites, it looks as though the center of circulation, not so much a defined eye wall as we saw before, is just a few miles offshore, so you should be feeling the worst of it, at least in the next couple of hours. Let's go back over to New York, and here's Karen.
John, thanks. We're going to get on the phone now with Ali Velshi. He's in Grand Isle, Louisiana, a small little barrier island, the center of a lot of offshore oil drilling. And he lost, these are some shots from where his location is that were taken a few minutes ago. He was knocked off what we call the BGAN, his ability to transmit pictures to us. But he is there on the phone. Ali, what's it like?
Kevin, the wind has definitely changed. It has been blowing east since last night. It is now blowing southeast. It's definitely changing as the center of the concentration is shifting. This is moving over us right now. Very, very heavy winds. I'm actually protected by the house, which is on my side. So this wind that you're seeing is actually turning around me. And by the way, for all of those who have expressed concern about all of our safety, we thank you for that. We are roped in. So we're not blowing anywhere at the moment. Things are blowing around here in Grand Isle. As I said earlier, there is no danger of anybody being on those oil facilities. They have been evacuated. You can't see them from here because of all the rain, but they are. There were 2 dozen of them we could see just with the naked eye with the Gulf. Beth is turning the camera around now. This is now facing west. We see that water. The water has stopped rising. Everything is covered here in water. The Gulf of Mexico has covered Grand Isle entirely. But it hasn't reached. It looks like it's reached about 5 feet in height. It is really, really turning up now. These are the heaviest winds, the heaviest gusts that we have seen so far. But as we've seen, things are still staying intact, which is good because these winds are as heavy as they've got so far. We've moved in so we're a little safer, and we've established our contact again. So I'm just moving in to keep safe from the wind gusts. You know.
And just quickly, Ali, I know you guys said you were at 14 feet. That was where you guys were in terms of being above sea level. Any plans in place for you to move up to that 3rd level?
Yeah, we're on the 2nd level still, which is about 20 feet above ground. As I said, the water seems to be about 5 feet, maybe 6 feet above ground. So we still have a lot of clearance. We do have a 3rd floor to this house, which we can go to with balconies, but we haven't even moved our stuff yet. We're not feeling that danger just yet. This house is standing strong. The fact the garage ripped off, everything else here structurally seems to be sound. So we're feeling pretty safe here, Karen, about 20 feet off the ground.
All right, hang in there. Grand Isle right in the middle of Gustav's path. The latest update we have right now is that this Category 3 storm will make landfall soon. It's within 12 miles of shore, according to our own Doppler radar. We're going to keep on this story. We're going to take a quick break. American Morning will be right back.
What is the sign of a good decision? In the world of personal finance, it's MassMutual. Ask your advisor or visit massmutual.com.
With soaring energy prices and global climate change, there are good reasons for believing in wind. Wind energy is clean and plentiful, and it answers the call for sustainable ways to create the electricity we need. We know because our sole focus is developing technology that uses the energy of the wind to generate electricity. America has some of the world's most abundant wind resources, and Vestas is here to help harness them.
Every eHarmony match is based on compatibility. During our free communication weekend this Friday through Monday, communicate with your matches absolutely free. Come see who you're matched with. Log on during this free communication weekend at eHarmony.com.
We can't promise that it will get you a raise, help the kids get along, or make you look thinner. But Stainmaster Carpet does last up to 50% longer and stay up to 30% cleaner than other carpets, adding more comfort and style than ever to your home. As part of our fall anniversary celebration, we'll extend the limited warranty by 5 years on any new Stainmaster carpet purchased now through December 31st. For details, visit Stainmaster.com or a Stainmaster flooring center near you.
a sports car platform with a 7-speed automatic transmission. The all-new 390 horsepower Infiniti FX. The power to boldly reinvent the norm.
You wanted it to work out here. You wanted it to work right now. You wanted free weekends and free hams. You wanted it to do more and cost less. You wanted your email, text messages, GPS, and MP3s. Your favorite websites, your favorite colors. And tomorrow, you'll want even more. Okay.
A move to Michigan is giving life science companies life. Take Asteran, for example. This human tissue bank moved here from England because the Michigan Economic Development Corporation helped them find the best location, the best people, the best financing options, and much more.
We've done it with the help of MEDC and the various services that they've supported throughout the state of Michigan.
The MEDC can do the same thing for you. Remember, wherever in the world you compete, Michigan can give your life science company the upper hand.
Driving around, here's a look. This is a Bell Drive in Metairie where a carport has fallen on a truck. And so while flooding isn't an issue at all, there is definitely damage. There's a fence down. That's on West Esplanade. So these winds, while they may not be as bad as anticipated or feared, they still can do some damage, especially to some of the structures that aren't as strong and able to resist the wind. These are, let's see, this is Transcontinental, where we had some down, I don't want to say trees, but it's segments of trees, major branches. There's some foliage lying on. And this isn't one of the other reasons why it's not a good idea to come back anytime soon until officials have had a chance to.
All right, concerns about those down power lines and possible electrocution in those areas where power lines and trees are down. Meantime, New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin says Gustav will be the first major test of the city's partially rebuilt levees. Chris Roberts is a councilman of Jefferson Parish, also a lifelong resident. He joins me now from Harahan, Louisiana. That's where a mandatory evacuation has been ordered, like in most places there. Thanks for being with us this morning, Chris.
Sure, good morning.
Tell us a little bit about what the conditions are like there now.
Well, conditions have deteriorated most of the morning. We had some wind begin coming in around 3 a.m. this morning. The wind's gotten worse. We've seen some tree limbs down, major power outages. That's primarily been the problem so far. I know that you all have been reporting from Grand Isle. We have some storm surge there, which obviously draws some concern as well.
And there's a possibility of the storm surge anywhere from 7 feet to 14 feet in many areas around there. Of particular concern, we understand it because of the track of Gustav, is the West Bank. Part of that is in your parish. Can you explain what the concern is and what you guys are keeping an eye on this morning as it relates to the West Bank area?
Sure. As the storm comes in, the wind's going to come out of the south, which is going to push up the Gulf of Mexico into Bayou Barataria. Connected to Bayou Barataria is the Harvey Canal. That area does not have a completed federal levee. It is under construction, not set to be complete until 2011. It was funded after Katrina. There's some major concern for us that we're monitoring the surge in the canal. We feel as though because the storm didn't reach the Category 4 or 5 intensity that we thought it would be, that we're going to be able to manage it. But obviously, we're going to pay close attention to it all day. This won't be something that we'll know for sure until later on this evening, sometime into tomorrow.
Right, and quickly before I let you go, you guys made the call at about 4:30 in the morning to close the gates of the Harvey Avenue Canal. Explain what that means to our viewers and why you did that.
Sure. What that is that the gate is located just at La Palco, which is about halfway up the canal from Bayou Barataria to the Mississippi River. That gate was closed to prevent any of the surge coming up past that point. There's an earthen levee on the western side. The eastern side is what our concern is. That's where the levee is under construction. So that's the area we're going to pay attention to. There are about 225,000 residents that live in that area between Jefferson Parish and the west bank of the city of New Orleans. So great concern for us. We're going to monitor it all day, working with our levee district officials who have done a great job this week to prepare us.
All right, well, we wish you guys luck. Hopefully they will hold and everything will work out as you guys prepped for. Chris Roberts, councilman of Jefferson Parish.
Thank you.
Talking with us this morning. John?
Okay, we're looking at a picture here from Grand Isle. Don't know if this is, I think this is tape that was taken a little while ago, because just pretty much the worst of the storm is coming in right now. It is live pictures, so that's incredible, actually, that they're still broadcasting a signal out of there, considering what the weather's like. Ali Velshi is with us. Ali, looking at the radar, it looks as though the storm just took a little tiny jog to the west, which is what was forecast to happen. So you should be just about in the worst of it now. What's it like?
We can hear it. Making landfall very close to us. It's a few miles away. That's what it's like working solar evaporation from all Gulf Coast soil activity. Now, I'll tell you, 56% of the oil that is imported into this country, the government has talking about.
Hey, Ali, I don't know if you can hear me at all, Ali, but you're in an area where there's just far too much wind noise. If you could take a step inside and describe for us the situation, we might be able to hear you a little more clearly. But I don't know if Ali can hear me at all. Now, I'll tell you what, we can't hear Ali at all, so we'll take a quick break. We'll try to reestablish some communication with him, and then we'll try to get back to him. But that is a shot, really, from ground zero right now of this Hurricane Gustav. It's the worst of the winds coming ashore. The eye of the storm, or the center of circulation at least, less than 10 miles away now from the coast of Louisiana. This is your hurricane headquarters, CNN. We're back in just a minute.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Go to CNN.com. Create, debate, connect. Join the forum today at CNN.com/forum.
Here at the phone company, you've been our customer for a long time. Now Vonage wants to change all that.
Well, over 2 million people have already joined Vonage.
Oh, really? Don't they miss having phone service?
Actually, with Vonage, you get award-winning service quality with unlimited local and long-distance calls, all for just $24.99 a month. Are you having trouble keeping track of what your phone company is charging? With Vonage, your rate starts low and stays low. Don't take my word for it. Listen to his former customers.
For me, Vonage is everything I want in a phone service.
It's dependable. It's perfect.
No nickels and dimes like the phone company.
Make the most from your existing high-speed internet connection. Get unlimited local and long-distance calling for only $24.99 a month, plus 25 features for no extra charge. Sign up now and get 1 month free.
Okay, but making a change is hard, and for over 100 years, the only thing we've changed is...
Your prices?
Whoa!
Call 1-800-486-7061 or go online to Vonage.com.
Lou Dobbs Independent Convention, a CNN special event, all next week, 7 Eastern.
Live look in New Orleans now as the brunt of this storm is crawling ashore to New Orleans. Not long from now, they should be getting right at the heart of Hurricane Gustav. We already saw the effects from Grand Isle, where Ali Velshi is located. And this is a shot of New Orleans, Louisiana today. A lot going on there, and there is business as usual for some places, including the Children's Hospital in New Orleans. That's where CNN's Susan Rosegen is live for us right now. They've decided to stay up and running to continue care for some of these critically ill children as long as they can do it. Hi, Susan.
Hey, good morning, Karen. Yeah, it's not really... Karen, it's not really business as usual out here. We left kind of abruptly in the last hour when the power went down. It was just our own power. It was not the hospital's power. The generators kicked right back in, and all the patients are fine. All the machinery is fine. Everything they need to get by here is okay. Just want to let you know that. It's a little rough outside, but it's fine inside. Karen?
Susan Rosegen for us outside of the Children's Hospital there in New Orleans. We're going to take a quick break. Our coverage continues in a moment.
Business is rarely this calm. Just when things start to smooth out, problems pop up. Quest provides integrated voice and data solutions, giving you time back, so problems are wrangled and you can get on with business. Get Quest. Get nimble.
I like to color my hair a lot. And with L'Oreal's Excellence Cream, color doesn't get more perfect than this. Excellence Triple protects our delicate hair, so it feels fuller, thicker. Plus, this formula won't drip, so it really covers gray a lot. Excellence Cream by L'Oreal Parrot.
Get this one.
Iran is changing its cars to run on natural gas, and we're not doing a thing here. They're doing this to use less oil and sell it for $120 a barrel. We can switch our cars to natural gas and stop sending our dollars to foreign countries.
Create, share, and experience in 3D. Dassault Systems. See what you mean.
10-time Emmy winner Stephen Bochco has created some of television's greatest dramas. Now get ready for his next. You're a joke.
Get him out of here!
Raising the Bar. See the commercial-free premiere tonight at 10 after The Closer, only on TNT.
All right, and right now the latest on Hurricane Gustav is it's about 10 to 12 miles from shore. There's a shot of Grand Isle, Louisiana, one of those barrier islands just getting pounded. And John, it's still far too early to tell if the Gulf Coast is in the clear.